Brookfield County lay tucked between rolling cornfields and a slow, winding river in the heart of the American Midwest. It wasn't a place people rushed to, and it wasn't a place people easily left. Life here moved at the pace of the sunrise, steady, predictable, and honest. Old pickup trucks lined Main Street every morning. The diner opened at 5, the courthouse bell rang at noon, and the same faces greeted one another with nods that said more than words ever could. For Daniel Carter, Brookfield County felt heavier than it used to. At 38, Daniel sat on the wooden steps of his small rented house, elbows on his knees, head buried in his hands. Storm clouds gathered above him, dark and loud, mirroring the noise in his mind. The factory where he'd worked for 15 years had shut down without warning. 1 week he had a job, benefits, and purpose. Next week, only a cardboard box with his belongings. Bills stacked up on the kitchen table. His truck needed repairs. His savings were almost gone. And worst of all, the confidence he once carried like a badge now felt cracked and fragile. Daniel wasn't lazy. He wasn't careless. He was simply caught in a problem that felt too big. Thunder cracked across the sky. "Why does everything have to be so complicated?" he whispered. In small counties like Brookfield, struggles rarely stay hidden for long. Mrs. Evelyn Harper, who lived across the street, noticed Daniel hadn't left for work in days. She noticed the porch light staying on late at night and the untouched mailbox. At the diner, Sheriff Tom Wilkins heard whispers. "Daniel lost his job," someone said softly over coffee. Tom nodded. "Good man. Hard worker." Brookfield County had its problems: aging infrastructure, limited jobs, young people moving away, but it also had something stronger: people who paid attention. Daniel, however, felt alone. Each morning he drove past the closed factory gates, rust already creeping across the steel sign. He remembered the laughter during lunch breaks, the pride of steady paychecks, the sense of belonging. Now all he felt was uncertainty. He spent hours scrolling job listings that demanded skills he didn't have or experience he couldn't afford to gain. Each rejection email felt like another door slamming shut. Problems piled up fast. Solutions felt far away. One evening, after another fruitless day, Daniel sat in his truck at the edge of the county park. Rain poured down in sheets, blurring the streetlights into yellow smears. He thought about leaving Brookfield County. Moving to the city. Starting over. But starting over required money. Courage. Direction. Daniel had none of those, at least, that's what he believed. His phone buzzed. A message from his younger sister, Emily, who lived 2 counties away. "You're stronger than you think. Don't try to fix everything at once. Just take one step." He scoffed quietly. One step felt useless when the road ahead looked endless. Still, the message stayed with him. The next day, Daniel wandered into the county library, more out of habit than hope. It was quiet, warm, and smelled like old paper and polished wood. At a corner table sat Henry Wallace, a retired schoolteacher in his 70s. Henry was known across Brookfield County for 2 things: his calm wisdom and his habit of talking to anyone who looked troubled. Henry looked up and smiled. Rough week? He asked. Daniel hesitated, then nodded. Henry closed his book. Sit. Daniel didn't know why, but he did. After listening quietly, Henry spoke. You know, Daniel, most people think life's problems are complex puzzles, he said. But usually, they're just knots. We panic and pull harder, making them tighter. Daniel frowned. So what's the solution? Henry smiled gently. Stop pulling. Start loosening. What does that even mean? It means solve what's closest, not what's biggest. That night, Daniel made a list. Not of everything wrong, but of one thing he could fix tomorrow. The truck. It wasn't running well, and without it, job hunting was impossible. The next morning, he visited Jake Miller, a mechanic who ran a small garage outside town. Daniel offered to help clean the shop in exchange for discounted repairs. Jake considered him, then nodded. Deal. For the first time in weeks, Daniel felt useful. As he scrubbed grease off the floor, something shifted. His problem hadn't disappeared, but it had shrunk. Word travels fast in Brookfield County. Jake mentioned Daniel's work ethic to a farmer who needed help repairing equipment. The farmer mentioned Daniel to the county road supervisor. The supervisor mentioned Daniel at the diner. Within a week, Daniel had temporary work, nothing glamorous, but honest and steady. Each job solved one small problem. Fuel in the truck. Food in the fridge. Confidence in the mirror. Daniel realized something powerful: he wasn't fixing his whole life, just one day at a time. Spring arrived slowly in Brookfield County. Fields turned green. The river ran clear. The courthouse steps filled with people again. Daniel stood on a hill overlooking the town, watching the sunrise. For the first time in months, the future didn't feel heavy. The problems hadn't vanished. Money was still tight. The factory was still closed. But Daniel had learned something the storm had taught him. Big problems don't need big solutions. They need simple actions taken consistently. Months later, Daniel helped organize a free skills workshop at the community center. Locals shared what they knew: mechanics, farming, carpentry, budgeting. Henry Wallace attended, smiling from the back row. After the session, Daniel thanked him. "You were right," Daniel said. "The solution was simple. I just couldn't see it." Henry chuckled. Most people can't, until they stop looking for miracles and start looking for steps. Brookfield County moves forward. Brookfield County didn't suddenly become rich or famous. It remained small, imperfect, and real. But people remembered Daniel's story. Whenever someone faced hardship, they heard the same words echoed at the diner, the library, and the courthouse steps. Every problem in life has a simple solution, if you're willing to take the first small step. Final reflection. Life doesn't change in one dramatic moment. It changes when we choose action over fear, simplicity over chaos, and progress over perfection.